वेलकम ऑल ऑफ यू. ज्ञानदीपच्या या PYQ सिरीजमध्ये मी सर्वांचं तुमचं स्वागत करतो. मी महापरी प्रल्हाद इथे सोशल जस्टिस आणि गव्हर्नन्सचे PYQ घेणार आहे. ठीक आहे. सो फर्स्ट थिंग फर्स्ट, व्हाय वी शुड स्टडी PYQ, प्रिव्हियस इयर क्वेश्चन्स. सो content it should be your less priority right now. Content should be the less priority. Why? Because you have many kind of sources to get a content from a particular topic or a particular question, be it Yojana, Kurukshetra, newspapers, magazines, then internet itself, then resources or booklets from the institutes. So there are a lot of content, handwritten notes of the previous toppers, etc. So there is a lot of content regarding the particular topic or question. What is more important is that the analysis, the understanding, the process. So what you have to focus while preparing for the PYQ or practicing the PYQ is the process. What kind of process? Now I will walk you through this process through the entire series of this PYQ, particularly with respect to the social justice and governance. I will walk you through the process, how you should write answer, and there is a process for it. For example, the very first step of the process is understanding of the question. Step by step, you have to go through step by step understanding of question. Why? Because the many times what happens, people didn't understand the question itself. They have the content, they have read enough, they have revised it enough, but they don't know or unable to understand the questions. If you fail to understand the question, you are not in a position to predict the demand of the question. Then you much likely tend to write the answer with the content that you have rather than what is demanded. What happens if you fail to understand the question correctly? You won't be able to write the answer which fulfills the demand of the question. So to understand the question is to understand the demand of the question and write accordingly. So when you are able to supply the things which is in demand in the market or the demand of the question, then you will get the extra marks or for that matter good marks. Otherwise you will write what you have, that will be deviated from the question itself. So the very first thing is the understanding of the question, and from this PYQ series you have to practice the understanding of the question. Then we have to understand, from this is the process, from this PYQ analysis we have to understand the question, then we have to understand the pattern of question. Now, not a pattern of question paper, but a pattern of question. Pattern of question paper is different from pattern of question. Pattern of question paper talks about the how many questions are there, which questions are comes in which marks, how many words you have to write, which subjects has how much weightage, from that subject which parts or which topics have got more attention than the other parts or other topics. This is the pattern of question paper. Now I am talking about the pattern of question. For example, let's suppose there is a one topic in the polity. So in the polity there is a topic called as a comparison of the constitution and political processes of the comparison of the different countries. Let's suppose 4th या 5th नंबर का टॉपिक होगा. सो त्याच्यावरून आपल्याला स्टडी करायचा आहे की ह्या क्वेश्चन येण्याच्या पद्धती काय आहेत. सो पॅटर्न जर तुम्ही नीट अनालाइज केला त्या क्वेश्चनचा, तुमच्या लक्षात येईल की त्याच्यामध्ये 2-3 टाईपचे क्वेश्चन येतात. एक तर पार्लमेंटरी सिस्टीम किंवा ज्युडिशियल सिस्टीम किंवा एक्झिक्युटिव्ह सिस्टीम म्हणजेच प्रेसिडेन्शियल, ही स्टडी करा कम्पेअर टू अदर नेशन्स किंवा अदर कंट्रीज. फॉर एक्झाम्पल ह्या वर्षीचा क्वेश्चन होता पार्लमेंटरी सिस्टीम स्टडी करा विथ कम्पेअर टू द ब्रिटन. प्रिव्हियस इयर क्वेश्चन होता की प्रेसिडेन्सी इलेक्शन कम्पेअर करा विथ दॅट ऑफ US. देन ज्युडिशियल कंपॅरिझन करा विथ दॅट ऑफ US. सो अशाच टाईपचे पॅटर्न येतात. सो तुम्हाला हे नीट केअरफुली अंडरस्टँड करावं लागेल पॅटर्नचा क्वेश्चनचे पॅटर्न. देन काही क्वेश्चन मध्ये असं असतं की पॅटर्न असा असतो की फक्त गव्हर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव्ह विचारले असतात. दे विल आस्क यू द गव्हर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव्ह, दे विल आस्क यू द चॅलेंजेस इन इम्प्लिमेंटेशन, दे विल आस्क यू टू द what are the opportunities have been created, right? So there is a pattern in the question. You have to understand that. Then what is the main significant point of practice? To understand the mindset of UPSC. The more you practice the PYQ, the more you will able to understand the mindset of UPSC, what kind of question they ask from the which subjects and what they are expected from that answer. So you have to practice for at least few days for the PYQ, only to able to understand the question and predict the demand of the question. And that's we are going to now do in at least some questions in the upcoming sessions. So let's start. So first thing first, understand the question. So what is the question? Reforming the government delivery system through the direct benefit transfer scheme is a progressive step, but it has its own limitations too. Comment. So question is simple. What is it? Reforming the government delivery system through the DBT. Government delivery system. So public service delivery is government's function. So government's काम काय आहे? The government delivery system. And we have to, while reforming it, DBT has direct benefit transfer has played a progressive step in it. This is the statement. But it has its own limitations. So we have understand the question that there is a DBT kind of scheme which has performed very progressive steps while ensuring the government delivery and their reforms, government delivery system and their reforms, but it has some limitations also. Now, second step number 2. Link the question. You can write it down the steps. We will teach one by one step. There are more than 10-12 steps. So we will learn the one by one step in every question or another. So step 2, linked with the topic of the syllabus. So now syllabus. So now you will ask that, sir, we don't have time to read the question neat, and we have to write it fast within a limited time period. Where we will find this time to go through all the steps? Listen, there is no step 1 to step 2 we have to write like that. This is the process. If after even practicing more and more question, this will automatically happens in your brain, in your mind, and you will go through that process immediately you saw the question. Automatically your brain process like that only. So go through that. So step 2, link with the topic of the syllabus. So syllabus चा topic च्या कोणत्या topic शी link आहे? The government policies and intervention for development. Second, important aspects of governance. त्याच्यानंतर e-governance, applications, models, successes, limitation and potential. Direct question आहे. E-governance means DBT. त्याचे applications आहेत, त्याचा successes कसं आहे? Progressive step. But त्याचे limitations पण आहे. Direct question from topic. Are you getting it? So once we link the question from the topic, what is the purpose of these steps? There is during your preparation, your brain has created every folder for each topic. There is a folder for each topic in your brain, which contains all the kind of content, limitations, potential, whatever it is in it. The moment you link that question with the topic, that folder opens up in your brain, and all the information start coming in front of your eyes. Are you getting it? Then what comes the next? Understand the question. This is the step. And then now we have to structure. Now everyone knows that we have to structure it like introduction, body, conclusion. Here is not an obstacle, and this is not the only structuring. Structuring means what is to be written in the introduction, to decide what should be written in the body, and what should be our conclusion. This is the structure. Okay, let's go through it. We have understood the question that DBT has a progressive in reforms, is a progressive steps, and it has limitations too. Now, next step is to identify keywords in the question. There are 2 types of keywords. One is the keywords that mention in the question, and the other are the keywords that we have to mention in the answer. But now, here the first we have to understand the keywords from the question. Why? Because they will give you 2 things. One, hint to further develop the points, and second thing, address the demand of the question. So here are the keywords: reforming the government delivery system, direct benefit transfer scheme, and limitation. Okay, these are the keywords. Now comes to the next point. What should be our introduction? So There are numerous methods of introducing the answer. There is numerous method of writing the introduction. We will learn one by one. Here I am given the simplest one. What is that? Reforming the government delivery system, direct benefit transfer scheme. These are the two keywords. So what is the role of DBT in reforming the public service delivery system? As simple as that. You have to write only that. Then comes the body. In body, you have to write the significant step of DBT because of it is a progressive step. You have to some form of write the significance. Now, what one can say, no sir, question is actually limitations of DBT. Yes, true. Question is only about the limitations of DBT. But the point here is that you cannot directly write the limitations. You have to there should be some kind of sequence, there should be some kind of chronology in your answer writing. To jump to the limitations, you have to give some form of significance because if they have mentioned that it is a progressive step in the reform. So you either write it as a significance or what can you do? You can make a chart or diagram mentioning the significance. Okay, let's see. We will come to the conclusion later on. So introduction, what is the DBT scheme? How Indian government has used it to reform the government delivery system and its benefits directly including the bank accounts of eligible beneficiaries. So DBT is all about the welfare scheme. It is the payment for the welfare schemes where the balance or the payment has been directly received by the beneficiary in their bank accounts. So direct transfer of the benefits is known as a DBT. This system enhances what is the significance of, I have mentioned that either as a link paragraph, this is the link paragraph between introduction and body. It enhances transparency, reduces corruption, improves the efficiency of welfare programs. While DBT is a progressive steps, it has limitations also. This is the introduction. Now, advantages. So we have to write, but this is not the main part. So we will restrict this part to a minimal level. I have just given here information for your purpose, your own purpose to understand the things. But in the real answer, you have to skew this part because this is not the actual demand. So what is transparency and efficiency? Advantages of DBT. It will ensure transparency, efficiency. It will reduce corruption. It is a tool of empowerment for the woman, like PM Ujjwala, right? Linking gas subsidy directly link beneficiaries. It's a tool of empowerment. Then financial inclusion. Through the DBT, the people are being incentivized to open up the bank accounts. Once they open the bank accounts, the many people are being able to deposit some form of money into there. They will be able to access the credit into this, and the welfare benefit are directly reaching to their hands. Are you getting it? So financial inclusion is happen, and biggest example is through the Jan Dhan account, right? Then monitoring and evaluation. So this is the biggest part. What happens? We just continuously bringing new schemes and we did not evaluate it. Then the schemes are actually implemented, and the implementation is good or bad. We have to assess that, and DBT ensures that assessment objectively. For example, how many people are actual beneficiaries in form? How many are withdrawing the money regularly because they needed it? How many in how much accounts the money sent by the government is lying idle in the account? It means the people did not need it. So we can analyze the pattern. Where are the number of beneficiaries are located? Where are the less beneficiaries? How urban sector is going? How rural sector is going? So we have to continuously monitor it. And this is the good example of it. PM Kisan Yojana. How many peoples are there? We can directly identify from this that how many peoples are there who has the ownership of land below 2.5 hectare, because they are the only beneficiary of PM Kisan. Are you getting it? Next, but question is about limitation. So second part of the question, but actually main part is the limitation of the DBT. We have to identify the limitations. So in that field, so what are the limitations? First limitation is the biggest one, digital divide, particularly in a rural, urban, educated, uneducated, etc. So digital divide creates two things. In terms of one, there is a digital illiteracy, and second, there is a lack of accessibility of ICT related technology, right? Accessibility, technology's accessibility has been reduced. So there are two things: digital illiteracy and ICT related technology has been in a lack of access. So these two things has created a digital divide between rural and urban. Particularly, you may have seen the various instances where there is a death of a minor girl because of not getting the ration from the PDS, just because she is unable to link her Aadhaar card to the PDS. And why is because that there is no internet penetration, there is no electricity penetration, there is a lack of infrastructure, ICT infrastructure, etc. Now, DBTs talk about direct benefit transfer to the banks. What happens when there is no banks in the village? We have to travel so far for the bank. There is no internet connection in your home or in your village level. So digital divide is a big limitation. Then another limitation is banking infrastructure. That's what I talked about. Okay. Even here I have given an example that the limited coverage of national health insurance scheme is some areas due to lack of awareness. Lack of awareness means digital illiteracy, also identification of beneficiary and connectivity also, right? Then next, identification and targeting. So many times what happens, digital DBT, through DBT we are unable to assess the correct identification of beneficiary. Many fraud beneficiaries are coming out of Ayushman Bharat scheme, where the 5 lakh has been granted to the beneficiary for his health related diseases, etc. But we have found that there is a nexus between the beneficiary and the private hospitals, and due to which there is a very fraud beneficiaries are emerging out. So there is a problem regarding it. Then second problem is administrative capacity. We have to develop a huge administrative capacity. So administration should be able to reach accessible to the rural population and bottommost population. These are some kind of limitations. And finally, the conclusion. So I have summarized the conclusion, but we will deal with the conclusion in later session thoroughly, where there is a conclusion should be our focus. So here I have just given that yes, there is limitation, and these are the numerous steps we can take to avoid these limitations, like increasing infrastructure, increasing banks linkage program through the bank, increasing the branches of the banks, accessibility, like propagation of BharatNet, through which internet connectivity will be ensured, etc. So this is all about the PYQ. We will deal with the next topic, next question, and the next thing in the answer writing. Thank you.